Hello and welcome to Homer for Friday, September 19th, 2025. Today we will be reading from lines 108 to 123 in Book 12 of the Iliad, in which Asios begins his ill-fated assault on the gate of the Achaeans. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. Then the rest of the Trojans and their far-famed allies obeyed the counsel of blameless Polydamas. But Asios, son of Rhetias, Hurticus, leader of men, was not minded to leave there his horses and his squire the charioteer, but chariot and all he drew nigh to the swift ships, fool that he was. For he was not to escape the evil fates and return, glorying in horses and chariot, back from the ships to windy Ilios. Nay, ere that might be, fate of evil name enfolded him by the spear of Idomeneus, the lordly son of Deucalion. For he made for the left wing of the ships, even where the Achaeans were wont to return from the plain with horses and chariots. There drave he through his horses and car, and at the gate he found not the door shut, nor the long bar drawn, but men were holding them flung wide open, if so be they might save any of their comrades fleeing out the battle toward the ships. Wonderful. Let's do it in the Greek.
Taloi troestele kleitoi de bicoroi Uole puola ramanto suome tuoi opithondo Allo corta kides Asios armakosandron Matili pen hippos te caenio contera ponda Alla sunau toisin pelasene sitoesi Napio suora na mela che caspo che era saluxas Poi sin caio kes fine gallo menos paraneion Apsa pon nos desen roti elion emenoesan Prosten garmin mora du somnumosan fecalupsen Enke iedomaneo se gaul deo calidao Esut agarneion peristeratei peracaioi Ec pedion nisontos und euhippois sin caiocas fi Ripus te cae arma diela sonure pullesin Eura picec luminassan idas cae macrone crea Alane pepta menassa con anera setine cairon Ec pole morfeu vonte sua seion teneias
Wonderful. It's right there. Make it look better. This beautiful setting we have here, filled with overhead light. We appreciate aesthetics here on the Homer YouTube channel. In fact, it's a policy of the Homer YouTube channel that we believe that you and me as a team, because I couldn't be here without the Homer fandom, is that beauty is number one, right? Beauty is absolutely number one. And as far as beauty reacting with war and beauty reacting with the idea of excellence in battle, it's very interesting to see the ways in which the Iliad sometimes fails to accommodate this sense of beauty for people. So for instance, when we think of technology, we think of things getting better and changing over time. For instance, in the 6th century BC, they started building turrets on their walls in order to throw stones or whatever people that are like harrying at the gates, right? Which is what Asios is doing right now. And this is not something that happened before then. So does that mean that this process of going up against the gate, right, which is, so it has this okeos, right, which is like the long bar on the inside that stops the gate from opening, like in Lord of the Rings when they're trying to break into the Helm's Deep, you know what I mean? That sort of like siege aspect. Does that mean that like they're amateurs and they just like don't have the skill? It's the same question of like, why does the lyre only have 7 strings, right? And this sort of question can't really be answered without asking, what are the limits and what are the absolutes of achievement within like a human lifetime? Because even though the technology might change, I would argue, there are still other certain things here. And one of the certain things here is, for the Iliadic battlefield anyway, is the therapist, the theraponta, right? Hen, the yokon, right? So there's always like there's always a squire to go with it, the secondary chariot rider. What's very interesting is that Asios doesn't have that, right? So, he goes, but chariot and all, he drew nigh to the swift ships, fool that he was, right? For he was not to escape the evil fates and return, blah, 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 right? It's interesting, like the number of times that like horse and chariot is mentioned there, right? So you have it, in like 114, he poising kaiokasvin, agalomenos, so enjoying in these things. If he's enjoying in them so much, as opposed to other things that you would get when you return from battle, then why doesn't he have a named charioteer, like nearly every other, chariot pair, right? It's just sort of hen, niokon teraponta. And some commentaries and some scholars argue that that's actually a proper name. And like this guy's name is, Therapontas, or Therapos, right? But I think it's just exceptional here. And it has to do with the situation of him being like, I'm going to try to go after them anyway. So I just think it's worth pointing out, because I don't think that these things are elided for no reason, or at least I would like to think that they're not. And I think that looking for these patterns is noteworthy. But yeah, the last thing I want to mention is how real this sort of scene, seems. You imagine like the heroes are like running into the gate. It's not like 10 people, right? It's like a whole series of like people that are like trying to escape battle on the Achaean side, versus this like one cavalier, chariot rider who's like, I'm going to go up to the gate anyway, even though Hector says, let's not do chariots, which is very interesting that that's the case, because if they're just running, trying to get back into the gate, isn't this like time to strike, right? Shouldn't there be like lots of people that are like able to be sniped off, like before they escape within their, safe wall? But they don't do it, which I think tells you something about the circumspection that, Hector and the rest of the planners, Poludomas and his wisdom, have for coming up with war strategy. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to sharing more of this wonderful epic poetry with you tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day. Bye.